So it's just a matter of like really like embracing that you're an expert at something and you have these really big strengths in some arena and being okay with that and like not feeling like that's an imposter or, whatever else might come out of that in your brain.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Take Back Your Biz Summit, where I'm chatting with industry influencers on how they have found more freedom, joy, and growth in their business by taking back what matters to them. So I'm your host, Lauren Black, creative strategist and owner of Bosscation, a business retreat in a box to help entrepreneurs like you get away from your daily distractions to strategically plan for your business. So I'm so excited for this Take Back Your Biz Summit, and we've got the challenge coming up in November 7th through 9th, and a massive giveaway. So if you haven't checked that out, head on over to bosscation.com/takebackyourbiz. So for now, I am so excited to chat with the lovely Jessica Stansberry. So hi.
Hey.
So Jessica and I met in I think it was the Savvy Business Owners Facebook group, and then we got to meet in person at the Savvy Experience Conference. And Jessica's business has just grown and changed and blossomed over the time that I've known her. So starting off with web design and graphic design a little bit, and then breaking into being a tech guru and just basically teaching all things techie as far as video tutorials and how to set up your email signature. She's kind of known for that. It's called the Jessica Stansberry method that everybody knows. So then her business kind of even transformed recently, and she has rebranded under Vidfluential. So she is teaching just mainly the video side of tech to help you to be able to use YouTube and Facebook Live and to really utilize this up and coming, it's been up and coming, but it's growing even more every day of using video in your business to help you grow and scale. And she's also a podcast co-host of the All Up in Your Lady Business podcast, which is super fun. And so make sure you check that out. And she has a free Facebook group for those who are looking to grow their video influence called the Rising Video Rockstars.
Yep.
So welcome, Jessica. And I think her topic is perfect for not only her growing business, but also all of you who probably are going through similar situations of really finding your strengths. So she's talking about take back your strengths. So Jessica, welcome. And I want to hear a little bit of the background of why this is kind of personal to you and how you feel you have stepped into your strength now.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me, first off. But I started as a web designer, and I started as a web designer almost by default. So I went to school for advertising and design, and it was just kind of something that I already knew and had in my pocket. And I loved it. But at the same time, it definitely, I will be completely honest, especially now looking back, I was not the best designer in the world. I was also not the best, person to have multiple clients at once in that spectrum, I guess. I do it now, but it's in a different thing. But so anyway, I just wasn't the best I could have been for that thing. And I realized as I grew in the online presence and people would ask questions and I would answer them, that what I was really good at, it wasn't the design, it was the tech side of that business. And I was like, oh, well, this sounds like it should be something. So I decided to start teaching that stuff. So I had a couple of courses first off that were ConvertKit, how to work ConvertKit and how to do your own website with WordPress. And all of those courses are still out there, and I still run funnels and sales to them occasionally. And that was where I really shined, was teaching other people how to do the thing, not necessarily doing it for them. And so I kind of transitioned through that. And then in the last probably 6 months, I've really realized that my true strength in all of that, I can teach all the tech, I can teach the email marketing, I can teach all of everything. Not everything. I'm not Gandhi or whatever, but you know what I mean? I can teach lots of things. But where I really, really, really love, and where I really shine and what people really resonate with me on is the video side of all of it. So I'm a full believer in just embracing those strengths and realizing what they are and not being afraid to niche down and like do the work to get you to be like the person for that particular thing.
I think that's important of just getting known for something. And once you find that, and it sometimes finds you, like it seems like
Yeah.
you're, the Jessica Stansberry method of the email signature was, you put it out there in maybe a blog post, and then everybody who would ask for it would refer you. And so it kind of just happens into your lap there.
Yeah, for sure it did. And that's so the truth. Like was that the tutorial or the video or the blog post that I ever thought would be the one that people like attached to? No. And so it was just really funny that like, yeah, people reference it all the time and I get linked and tagged in groups constantly for it. So yeah, I just kind of let it happen to me. I was open to the possibility of like, okay, so great. Now what does that mean for me in my business?
Yeah, definitely. Now, why is it important, do you feel, for people to take back their strengths in their business?
So you can't be truly good at business unless you love what you do, for one. At least I don't think you can. I got to where the last like 2 or 3 years of my business as a web designer, I was like burnt out and not happy and just didn't love what I was doing. And so I know I wasn't my best self and wasn't giving my best self to my clients at the time. They were still getting treated well. They were still, and they may not have even noticed it, but I noticed it because I wasn't in love with it. So when you take back your strengths and like, hey, this is what I'm really amazing at. Number one, well, it helps in a lot of ways. Number one, it helps you really be in love with what you do because as entrepreneurs, like the lifestyle is great, right? Like we all love like setting our own schedule. But if you're miserable in your job, you might as well go to a 9 to 5 and be miserable there and have a steady paycheck, right? Like,
Yeah.
So it'll help you like really fall in love with your business and do good things in your business. And when you love what you do, everybody else sees that. So it's much easier to market what you do. It's much easier to sell, and all of that. And then honestly, it's much easier to outsource and be an expert in one thing and be able to let things go. So I'm a jack of all trades and I love learning new things and learning how to do things myself. So it was always a big, like over encompassing theme in my business. Oh, I'll just do it myself. I'll keep my money and do it myself. Like I don't need these other people. They couldn't do it as good as me. And first of all, that's not true. Second of all, when I know for myself have paid someone to do something that it's just not my strength. It's not my strength. I can do it. It's not my strength. So I need to pay and outsource it. It has took so much off my plate and allowed me to work in my strength, which again goes back to the beginning and lets me grow and grow and grow even more.
I think that's great. And this is something that's been a trend in almost every interview that I've done so far is people talking about outsourcing and that you figure out what's not your strength and you outsource that. There may be some things that maybe you are strong at, but it takes you forever. Like me with writing blog posts, as everybody probably knows by now, it takes me like 8 hours, or it would take me 8 hours to write a blog post. And, because I was such a perfectionist and I felt in the end that it was a strong blog post, but that doesn't mean that that was my strength and that I should be doing that. And, just stepping into your strengths allows you to let go of things that you recently outsourced some design work, didn't you?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I just have actually been outsourcing all my design. Well, not all of it, but most design work. I had a workbook I needed created for a group program. And I was like, this is not what I need to be spending my time on. Number one, I'll get irritated because I feel like it needs to be better. Number two, it'll take that many hours out of my schedule. So yeah, I went in your group and was like, I need somebody to help me design this. And it was amazing. But yeah, I outsource if it doesn't serve me and help me use my skills that I think are like the prime example of what I do and who I am, I outsource it at this point.
Yeah. So it's almost like you need to find your best strength because even though you can design and you were a designer, that was something that isn't as strong or as needed that someone else could do versus creating the actual content for that course.
Absolutely. I mean, what people were buying was not the prettiness of this workbook. Like, I was excited about how pretty it was when it came in the mail. I was like, look how pretty it is. It's amazing. It's exactly what I wanted. But people were buying me. People were buying my knowledge and the content. So like, me spending time designing a workbook was not where I needed to be. I needed to be really honing in on what the content was going to be and how I was going to show up and how these people were going to be served in this program. So yeah, like, finding your best strength, because again, like, I can do email marketing. I'm really good at it, but it's not my best strength. So my
Mhm.
OBM helps me with that. And like, just different things that I know that I can do. And that whole like saying of just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's totally the truth, because your business will grow exponentially when you kind of like embrace that.
Yeah, well, it's also about prioritizing your time because time is a limited resource. And
Yeah.
so you can't do everything and do it all really well. So you need to choose what you're going to focus on.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
what are some other ways that people can actually step into this and like detect what their strengths are? Because some people, as you said, jack of all trades, a lot of us as creatives are multi-potentialites and, have so many
Yeah.
different areas that we excel in. So how do we even determine what's the best strength for us?
Yeah. So, okay, I have a couple of ways here. One is to ask the people, whoever the people are for you. But for me, I have a Facebook group, I have an email list, I have a podcast. Like, I surround myself with really amazing people in like a mastermind group and Voxer relationships and all these things. So I ask people, like, what is it that I'm good at? Like, I have literally said that, like, what do you like the most that I teach? Or what do you think I'm like the best at? Another way is to just kind of see how that shows up. Again, going back to the web design days, people would ask a question and be like, hey, so how do I do this on WordPress, or this thing on WordPress messed up, or whatever. And I would quickly answer their question. And the response every single time was, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And you made that seem so easy. So I realized that it was a strength of mine that I can make sometimes hard things feel really easy. So that's kind of the message I embraced in like the tech world. So going out and flat out just asking, like, ask your husband, ask your best friend, ask your business best friend, ask your mastermind group, like, what do you see that I'm good at? And it may be something that's innately so part of you that you don't even see it as something you could market or use. For instance, like, you, Lauren, I could totally see people being like, you're organized, you're like super, like structured and like get things
Yeah.
done because you have a plan, right? Whereas that's just part of who you are. And you may not have ever seen that prior to them telling you that. So I just kind of receive, like, be open to receive what people say about you, and don't be afraid to ask. So that's kind of number 1 and 1B. 1 and 1B, we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
So just ask, but also the big thing, and people say to do this with outsourcing all the time, but I think it's a really good practice to be in general, is go through the run of the mill of like the regular day or the regular week or whatever, and write down all the tasks you're doing. Right. Like, so I'm on a video call right now. After this, I get on another video call. After this, I do a podcast interview. After that, I do this. And write down all of the things you're doing, answering emails, getting in Facebook groups and whatever. And then go through that and be like, what do I hate? Like, what
Mhm.
of these tasks is like not cool? And so you can mark those off. Those are not your strengths, obviously, because you hate them. Even though you might be good at them, you hate them. That's not okay. So then you could go back through and say, okay, but I don't mind these other tasks, but what takes too much time off my plate and is kind of, like distracting me from the things I do need to be doing. Because again, they may be something you're really good at, but they take a lot of time, and you realize they're going through that list that they're not what really is the long goal. So you just kind of hone in and do like a self-evaluation of like, what do I like to do? What is like the thing that lights me up? And what am I really good at? And I find a lot that people, especially in the early years of entrepreneurship, are very hard at being confident and embracing those strengths. And so it might be really hard to be like, I'm amazing, right? Like that might be a really hard statement to come out with, but work that muscle and just be like, I'm amazing. Like you should like follow me. And it eventually gets to where it's like second nature and you really do believe that you're amazing at that thing.
Well, yeah. And if you look at what people who have been doing that thing for 10 years are doing, then it can be intimidating and you feel that imposter syndrome and say, oh, well, I'm not good at this because look at me compared to that person, rather than saying, well, look at me compared to my audience, and that they don't know, like something that you find so simple and easy, like an email signature in Google, other people don't know how to do that. And so just recognizing that, okay, yes, there are always people that are going to know less than you, have less experience than you, or, do things different than you, that you maybe do it more efficiently. And so there's always those ways to step into that strength and recognize that, yes, you might not know as much as Amy Porterfield, but that doesn't mean that you're competing with Amy Porterfield in this moment. You can be you, and there's an audience out there for you.
Totally. I mean, everybody, you have to think about that. You're always one step ahead of your audience in most cases, right? Like they wouldn't be following you if you weren't. So yeah, like really embracing that you know the thing. And like you say, like you may not be up to the level of someone you look up to. That's because they're a step ahead of you because you're in their audience. Like it's this whole like cyclical thing. And I guarantee there's somebody above Amy Porterfield who she's like, dang, they know a lot about marketing.
Right.
I should probably pay attention.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's just a matter of like really like embracing that you're an expert at something and you have these really big strengths in some arena and being okay with that and like not feeling like that's an imposter or, whatever else might come out of that in your brain. Basically what that mean girl, as my co-host on the podcast would say, she calls it your inner mean girl. Basically what she would say, that just like shoot her in the toe. It's not cool.
Yeah. And there's times you will question yourself, but if you just stick to it, then that's when you'll grow the most. So I know for me when I took my first bosscation, I didn't even have a name for it at that point, but I knew that I was in the same situation as you with my graphic design business was not lighting me up anymore. Having a million clients at once was emotionally draining for me. And I couldn't handle, I could handle doing the design work, and the design work I loved and just let me hone in on the design and focus, but handling all the day-to-day of managing so many different projects at the same time was just not fitting with my personality. And I knew I had to change my business in some way. And I had no idea that I'd be starting a new business altogether. But I realized that one of my strengths was my survey that I used with my clients was so in depth that my clients, one of them said to me, she's like, you know me better than I know me. By the time I did her brand board and her design, she was like, I am blown away that how much you got out of that survey that I filled out. And so realizing that I'm good with breaking things down that might be overwhelming for others and, putting it into a written package that people can then find solutions and find answers to. And that was a trend in all of my old my old corporate jobs, that I would take things that, were super disorganized and find a way to systemize it and make an Excel spreadsheet that solved everyone's problem. And suddenly this, 3-year-long problem, they hire me and it's like done, taken care of. And so just picking up on my corporate jobs or the volunteer positions I had been in and what were my strengths, what were my weaknesses, and realizing that I'm actually not good at managing a team. And so for me, growing Legacy Loft by having this big team was not probably the best path for me because I try to do everything myself and micromanage a little bit. And I do have a team now and I've gotten much better, but still it wasn't like the big way that I was meant to grow myself.
Totally. I know a couple of people, two that I can think of right offhand. Natalie Gingrich, she is a project manager, and then Ashley Cox, who's an HR person for entrepreneurs. But essentially both of them, and Natalie, I was actually her coach at the time and we discovered it. I didn't have any hand in Ashley's, but I'll take credit somewhere. But basically, like, it was like, what am I good at? And it went back to their corporate days. Like, what did I do in corporate? Oh yeah, I did this amazing thing. It wasn't that thing I hated. It was the job. It was the
Right.
company. It was the, whatever. I was actually really good at the actual job I did. It was the other stuff I hated about corporate. So yeah, like sometimes it comes back to all of your other experience in life and what that lends to in as opposed like as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it just builds up, everything builds on itself. And you don't even realize, like, people probably don't remember that they have those skills that they had in corporate. That, oh, I was really good at, I was a graphic designer in corporate, but yet I had these other organizational skills that, project managing the design projects.
Yeah.
And so those all come together to help you find that unique strength because no one else has the same background as you.
Exactly. No, I love that.
Yeah. So what has been one like pivotal or impactful moment in your business that kind of shifted things and, helped you grow?
Sure. So I always have to give credit where credit is due. Abigail Pumphrey from Think Creative Collective, she was at the Savvy Experience that you and I were both at. And I didn't really, I talked to them and hung out with them quite a bit during the conference, but I didn't really talk business a lot with them except for, what do you do? Here's what I do, blah, blah, blah. Well, when we got back from the conference, I went into the Savvy Experience thinking about my design business because at the time I had both a design business and a couple of courses. Not many, but a couple. And I was just kind of selling them. I would do a webinar every once in a while and sell a course. And I might have sold like 2 or 3 courses each time, like nothing major. It definitely was not paying the bills, right? So I went into the Savvy Experience thinking like I was going to really hone in this design company and figure out, again, how I could use my strengths but pass off all the other things. And anyway, I get back from the conference and I'm kind of still in that whole, like, if you've ever been to a conference, anybody watching, like that whole like overwhelm and the brain dump that you have to do and like all this stuff. And I'm kind of not even through that point yet. It was like literally the day I got back. And Abigail messaged me on Facebook and I forget how we even started the conversation, but nonetheless, she basically was like, no, stop it. You're really good at teaching the tech. And that's an area that people don't want to teach. Like that's not something people want to teach. And it's also something you make really easy. And you have the people who want to buy the courses. You just have to grow your audience and be a little, do a little different. And I think it was just that conversation with her that really like made me realize, oh, you're right. Like I could totally do that full time and stop having this, like trying to have like this balance of the web design business and the infopreneur stuff. And that I could really embrace that role. So as soon as like I kind of had that like light bulb moment, probably like the next week I stopped promoting the web design business anywhere. I still had it. I still had clients, but like it wasn't on my Facebook profile. It wasn't on my LinkedIn profile. Not that anybody finds me on LinkedIn, but still it wasn't anywhere. And I stopped, like I took down the Instagram account, like just lots of things. I was like, no more, I'm not doing this. But then I had to light a fire under my own butt that I needed to be able to replace my income with the courses. And so it was a lot of like really like honing out on what that looked like for me. And that's changed a lot over the course of the last like little over a year since then. But it was just one of those things where I was like, yeah, I needed that permission from somebody to say, you are really good at this. And it's totally fine for you to like just shut one off and go full force with another one. And Abby would like tell me about how they like totally quit like cold turkey and didn't have income for like an entire month or 2 maybe, before they started getting income from their courses. And I was like, I can't do that because like I had things I needed to pay for. But yeah, it worked out really well. And I just needed a swift kick in the hind end to like get me going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's so important to just cut it off when you know that you found your path and, you still were doing some design, but it was kind of, on the back end, you weren't taking kind of, putting it out there that you were doing it. So how long in that transition before you completely cut it out? Or did you? Do you still have any clients?
Oh gosh, no, I don't have any more clients. I have like strategy clients and like one-on-one clients in the capacity they work now, but not web design clients. And actually I've had people locally like, well, please, will you? And I'm like, no, sorry, nope, don't do it. Not worth my time, not worth my efforts, not worth your time or efforts either, because I wouldn't be any good at it anymore because I'm out of practice. But probably, so that was in late August of 2016 that I had that conversation with Abby. And it was like the next week when I like turned everything off and stopped promoting it. And by January of this year, I was like, I didn't have any more clients. So I literally had like a 3-month, 4-month period where I needed to make my income up in this other way. And I did it. And the first month I did it, I was like, I can do this every month. Like I literally took the website down for the design business. I was like, nope, no more. So I had a couple of like scraggling clients. I had a local guy that I was helping with his website that actually literally just wrapped up because you know how that is. But it was done in January. It was just a matter of getting them to get me some things. And then I passed it off to my team and it was done. So yeah, it was a couple months, which I would say is not normal. But I will say, like, I don't want anybody listening to be like, oh my gosh, like I've been at this, like trying to balance 2 businesses for a while. There's no way I could switch over. Like, I don't want anybody to feel that way. I launched my first course in April of 2016. So it was almost an entire year before the courses were my sole income, right? Like April to January. So like 9 months. So yeah, it wasn't like a quick transition as a whole, but I also really believed in what I was doing and really believed in the way I was marketing it. And so I just like went like balls to the wall.
Yeah. Well, and I think we want to encourage people, like, we're not, just because both of us have shifted in our businesses doesn't mean that everybody has to.
No.
So, sometimes you might be finding that your strength really is the thing you're doing and you're miserable in it, but maybe there's a different way out. So that could be turning it from one-on-one work to doing what you do and having it be, templates and pre-made, or teaching it as the course, or, some other way to approach your business that is using your strength and find that unique way that, sets you apart, but still, still embracing that same path.
Totally. Yeah. I don't ever want to feel like I'm telling someone how to do their business because it's the way I did it. Because that's not a thing. And, it's funny because I was like so burnt out on one-on-one work. I was just like done. And so when I transitioned into the course model, I didn't take any one-on-one work. No, I would have people coming to me all the time. Like, will you coach me? Will you like help me develop a plan for this? And I'd be like, no, because I was just so burnt out. But then a couple months later, I was like, no, I'm kind of craving like helping somebody else do this. And so I did start taking on some strategy clients or some like one-on-one like planning and giving away calls and things like that. So it's all of our businesses look so different. Even if you're looking at someone who does exactly what you think you want to do, they are probably going through some type of transition in some way, because the way 2 years ago, courses were like all the rage, right? And they still are, but it's a whole different ballgame now. So it's that balancing act of what you're good at and how you want to do it, and without feeling like you're less than because someone else does it differently.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I like how you put that, you just, you do it your own unique way. And, even if it's different, that can be a good thing.
Yeah, so. That's actually a really good thing, right? Yeah. Like that's why people will want to buy from you. So yeah.
So what's been one thing that you've been really intentional with in your business, and how has that impacted you?
Okay. So I've been really intentional with like focusing in on what I'm good at. Again, going back to like that whole outsourcing and all of that, I've been intentional in that area and like made sure that I was getting rid of the things that were not part of my plate or didn't need to be on my plate. I'm a really picky eater. So like, that's what I do when I eat. I'm like, nope, that doesn't need to be on my plate. Like, why would I put it on my plate if I don't like it? So I do the same thing in business. And I've also been really intentional with building a community and focusing in on, because that's one of my strengths, is like really being the cheerleader for somebody and really being like a leader and like not a thought leader, but like a community leader, and having that place where people can come and I can be there to cheer them on and grow that community. So the community aspect has been like amazing for my business. And the more and more I get into it, the more and more I'm focusing totally intentionally on that aspect, because I know if I don't hone in on that community, I won't be able to do the things I want to do as far as income and business and all of that, because there will be nobody there to pay attention.
Yeah, and I like how you approach it, that you are trying to cheer your people on and you're really there to support, because if people are just building a community, maybe a Facebook group, just for the sake of getting clients and growing their business, then they're going to, people will sniff that out and they don't feel that connection with the leader, and it just feels like a constant sales pitch. So I think it needs to be about the people first, and then the business will come.
Oh, totally. I say all the time, like I focus on the free stuff more than I focus on the paid stuff in my business. So I want to give as much as I can possibly give to my community without like running a business that makes no money, right? Like I need to make money. Everybody does. But I want them to know that I am involved and that I am dedicated to teaching them the things that they need to learn. And so, yeah, I put my community first and do it that way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I do need to wrap things up here now. So I just have one final question for you. So if you in general could give one piece of advice for people who need to take back their business, what would that be?
Just to really spend some time away by yourself. Oh my gosh, that leads perfectly into your thing, into the bosscation. But spend some time away by yourself, or however like feels best to you. Like I will say, like sometimes I watch TV to get like thought time, which is really weird, but it turns off my brain in a different way. But spend some time by yourself, just really reflecting on what you need to do and what doesn't feel good. If you'll pinpoint what doesn't feel good, because it's not always what we're doing. It might be who we're working with. It might be where we're living. It might be who we're married to. I mean, it doesn't, there's all kinds of things in your life that may not feel good, that may be kind of coming in to business, even though they're not a business thing. So spend some time alone, really dive into like where you're hurting and where things don't feel right, and figure out how you can fix that. How can that like be better? And how can you bring like your true self to the surface? And then again, go back to the beginning when I said like ask the people, what are your strengths? What are you good at? And like outsource and figure it out.
Yeah, that's perfect. Now, Jessica, you said it before that you're into a lot of freebies and offering, content to people. So Jessica actually has a free YouTube guide for us. So could you tell us a little about that and where we can find it?
Yes, for sure. So this guide, basically, I love YouTube so much. It is like amazing. And it's been amazing for my business to be able to get on YouTube, and not even for the YouTube aspect, more for the SEO aspect and getting on camera, and all of that has been awesome. So if you want to get your business on YouTube, I have like a step-by-step guide. It's like 5 or 6 pages that tells you like, here's what you do first, here's what you do second. And you can find that at jessicastansberry.com/YouTube-guide.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And Jessica also has, if you haven't entered the giveaway yet, you'll need to, because Jessica is giving away one free YouTube starter toolkit. So it has videos and worksheets to help you get started on YouTube, and you can win that for free at bosscation.com/takebackyourbiz. And you can also find all of the influencer interviews from the summit there. So make sure you check that out. So Jessica, where can we find you online?
Probably the easiest place is just to go to jessicastansberry.com.
Thank you so much. This was so helpful to help us find our strengths and, really step into that, because that's the important piece, that you have to take action on it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So bye.